everybody. I'm just kidding. That's really big monkey start. It's Dave's Life Over 65. I know it's been a real long time since I've done a video, but for a month and a half I've been under the weather, and I've been just taking it easy since, waiting for the weather to warm up a little bit, because I don't want to go out there and have a relapse. It's pretty cold out there tonight. It's -20 with the wind chill and a little snow, but the good news, it's March 5th, and we're getting closer every day to spring. We did get a fair amount of snow this year, and it's all piled up all over the park. They're also taking dump truckloads of snow from the streets and dumping it down at the park. And what that means is when the weather changes to warmer weather and all that snow starts to melt, it's going to make that stretch that I like to go on at the end of that little walkway that they've built. It will be marsh. It'll be bog, actually. So I don't know how far I'll be able to get down that trail, but we'll see. Anyways, I'm going to show you one of the toys I got this winter, and called a fire piston. You've probably seen them before. The idea is you take a little bit of char cloth, and I just think I discovered something. I've been getting very hit or miss luck with this. Oops, there's still some in there. Let's get rid of that. Now, what I've been doing is I've been taking a little chunk off and rolling it up tight and sticking it in underneath here. Hope you can see that. And what that does is it really fills up the bowl, and I think what happens is when I compress it down to the bottom of my tube here, it's flattening out and not allowing the compression or whatever. It's either that, or a little trick I've been trying is before I put it in the tube, I clean off the plunger. You know what? I got to be able to see what I'm doing here. So let me switch to a different mode. No way to make it focus that close, unfortunately, with the front camera. But right there, you might just see there's a little Vaseline that I've put on top of the ring. And this is my thinking about that. This is effectively creating the diesel. These, by the way, have been around for thousands of years. It's been used by native people around the world to make fire. And the principle of the fire plug is if you get air inside the tube and the plunger is sealed at the end and you slam it down real hard, it'll create enough pressure to ignite the char cloth or anything else that you put in there for that matter. So what I've done is I've put the Vaseline around the upper ring and made sure that the bottom ring is well lubed. And the other trick is I just run wet the ends of my fingers and then run them around one more time. Then I put this into the tube. Now, some people go bang like that, but I got soft hands. I worked in an office for 40-some years, so I don't have very hard hands. So you can see what's happening here. Okay. What I do is I put it on a hard surface. I just use my notepad to quiet it down a little bit so it doesn't make quite as much noise. And what you want to do is slam it down really fast, hold it for half a second, and then pull it out really quick. So I put my fingers down like that, I smack it, and pull it out. And nothing happened, which is normal, for me anyways. Relubricate the rings. And it's going to give me a hard time. Believe me, I did this 4 times in a row and got ignition. I even did it with the camera on, but the tripod failed, and it reset the phone. Okay. I try it 3 times, and if nothing happens, I re-lube the rings. And this will prove to me whether it's the actual little trick where I put here, let me get a pointer. I put a little extra Vaseline up here above the first ring. My thinking behind that is that it's fuel which burns. I watched a video where a fellow was shooting an air rifle with 177 caliber pellets in it, and what he did is he took a little dab of Vaseline and put it on the end of the pellet while it's inserted in the rifle, snapped it closed, and when he fired it, it actually sounded like a rifle. And when he opened it, there was smoke coming out. I don't recommend that because you can destroy your air rifle unless it's really, really well built. But anyways, that's the theory behind adding the extra Vaseline. So let's try that again. Nope. Nope. Yeah. It just might be that that's a little too much, because that's exactly what was happening last week. No matter how hard I hit it, no matter how hard I hit it, it would never ignite. Oh, and the other thing you need to check, which I will do right now, just want to make sure that it doesn't come out. All right. The other thing you might want to check if it's not igniting is to take the bottom off. This is a pressure release little thing they have. Oh, look, don't know if you saw that. A little whiff of smoke came out. So that tells me there's ignition, but it's not getting to the char cloth. But that is heartening, because there was ignition. There was probably a spark in there. If you go on the internet and look up fire pistons, you'll eventually come across a video that shows a fella that has a clear plastic cylinder, and he takes his piston. I think that's all right. Takes his piston and slams it down like that, and you can actually see a flame at the bottom of the tube, bottom of the cylinder, and that's enough to ignite the char cloth. So let's try that again with a little less char cloth, and there we go. Well, I had an ember. It didn't stay around though. Maybe my char cloth's not so good. Oh yeah, look. Watch this. Hope you can see that. So there was ignition, it just wasn't very good. Anyways, I had a little spot on the ember there, but it went out before I could blow it into something that you could see. Oh. Trying to screw it in the wrong end. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 hits, maybe even 5 hits before it you actually get an ember, but I actually got one on the, let me have a look at this and see if there's anything left. Oh yeah, I don't know if you can tell. No, you can't. Anyways, there's a little white spot where the ember was. Shoo, we have to do it again. Oh, something I wanted to show you. Watch this. That's as far in as I can push it. You see it pop out on its own? That's because there's pressure. It's actually forcing the plunger out. So, there we go. I think I should change my jar cloth because it's not staying. It's dying too fast. Oh shit, I dropped it. Trouble is, if you drop this stuff on your carpet, it leaves a nice black stain. Excuse me while I find it. Oh, I see it now. Okay, good. Alright, so let's get a new piece. Oh, here's a nice big one. You see that? Yeah. I usually use a little less than that, but that much. The reason I'm pulling the little strings off it is because what happens is if the string lays down across the grommets, the O-rings, what will happen is it'll kind of mess up the seal with the O-rings, and then it doesn't fire. Okay, good. Smoke. That's what I like to see, is smoke. Because where there's smoke, there's usually fire. So let's try this again. Bam! Up. Nope. Nope. Still giving me trouble. Let's try that again. Yeah, let's try that again. Of course, it won't repeat itself. Nope. Okay, let's have a look at this. Let's see if there's any smoke for one thing. So we were getting ignition, it just wasn't igniting the char cloth, which is promising. Got to make sure that this is clean. Don't know why, but it is important. And it has to be tight. Hence, use a little screwdriver for leverage. All right. Inside. Try it this way once. No. Could be something to do with the char cloth too. Yeah, see that? Anyways, there is an ember going here. I'll show you what, I'll tell you what. See the smoke? It's a good idea to just let your char cloth sit. There you go, should be able to see that. Yeah. Don't know if this is going to work or not, but we can try. Let me get my little homemade fire extinguisher here. Yeah. Good, it hasn't gone out. Probably won't work, but we can try. Nope, it burned out. But if I had the proper, tinder, it would have gone out. Okay. Oh, it's still hot. So let's see. Get rid of some of that junk. If I can duplicate this, because this would make probably number 6 or 7, 6 probably. Okay, I've loaded it up with char cloth, and I just run my fingers over this, clean that up a bit. Just take a tiny itty bitty speck of Vaseline. Looks pretty good. Okay, put that in there. Oh, first try. I love it. In the picture, yeah. Nice little ember. So you would pop that out. You see that? You can. Drop that onto another piece of char cloth. There you go. Don't waste too much of it here. Can you see that? Oh yeah. There we go. Vaseline. And seal that up. So that's it for now. Thank you for watching Dave's Life Over 65. If you've hung in here long enough, thank you very much for watching. And if you see any other videos on fire plugs that you think I wouldn't mind seeing, just come back and leave a comment, because I'd like to watch them too. In the meantime, thank you for viewing. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And of course, make sure you click the bell as well, so that you'll know when I finally get around to making a new video. And we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Oh yeah, have fun, but be safe.